Okay, so let's just jump right in. Businesses today are absolutely drowning in data. Clicks, sales, reviews, you name it, they've got it. But here's the catch. Having a mountain of information doesn't automatically mean you know what any of it is trying to tell you. It's like being in a room packed with clues but having no idea how to even start solving the mystery.
And that's exactly what we're going to talk about: how to think like a data detective. This quote really nails it, doesn't it? The goal isn't just to hoard data, it's to become an expert at interpreting it, to really uncover the story that's hiding in there.
So let's look at this whole thing as a mission, a kind of data treasure hunt. And what's the goal? Well, it's to turn all that raw, messy information into some serious business superpowers by finding the treasure that's buried deep inside all those numbers.
Right. And this is a huge point. So many companies focus all their energy on building the biggest, fanciest data chests they can imagine, collecting absolutely everything. But the treasure, the actual value, is what you find inside. The chest is pretty much useless if you never figure out how to unlock it.
So, how do we get to that treasure? Well, every good detective needs a process, and this is our treasure map. It's a really straightforward four-step framework. First, you collect the clues. Second, you analyze them for patterns. Third, and this is key, you interpret what those patterns actually mean. And last, you have to keep your information fresh, because in the world of data, the case is pretty much never closed.
Let's dig into step one: gathering your clues. Every great investigation starts right here with the raw evidence. You just can't solve a case without first finding all the pieces of the puzzle. And just like any detective, you've got a toolkit. You can use surveys to just ask a whole bunch of people what they think, or you can do one-on-one interviews to get those really deep, detailed stories. Then there's stuff like web analytics, which lets you see what people are actually doing on your site. Each tool helps uncover a different kind of clue.
This brings up a really good question, though. Okay, we have the tools to collect clues, but where are we even looking for them? Are they already hidden inside our own company files, or are they scattered out there in the big wide world?
And the answer is both. A really smart detective looks absolutely everywhere. You've got your internal data. These are the clues you already own, things like sales reports and customer info. But then you also have secondary data, clues you can go out and gather from the world, like market research or a competitor's website. A truly complete investigation has to use both.
Okay, so we've gathered our clues from all over the place. Now comes the real detective work, sorting through all that evidence. This is where we stop just collecting stuff and start finding those meaningful patterns in what, let's be honest, can feel like total chaos. Let's make this real with our first case file. Our client, a company called Endathon. Their mystery: who in the world are their customers really? They've got tons of data, but right now it's just a big jumble of names and numbers.
So by analyzing clues like age and purchase history, Endothon starts to see the patterns. They realize they don't just have customers, they have these really distinct groups or segments. You've got your loyal, frequent buyers, your super savvy bargain hunters, and your high-end shoppers. Now, finally, they can talk to each group in a way that actually makes sense to them. It's kind of like sorting Legos by color before you start building.
All right, on to case file number 2, the caper of the underperforming product. Something just isn't selling, and Enethon needs to figure out why before it starts dragging the whole business down. So, the data detectives get to work, following the trail. They look at the sales data, they dust for prints and the customer feedback, they track how people are using different features, and all the evidence points to a clear verdict. Now they know exactly which features to improve, what new products they should develop, and maybe most importantly, which ones to just get rid of. This is what data-driven decision-making looks like in the real world. But hold on a second. There's a super critical part of any investigation we have to talk about: verifying your sources. A good detective never trusts bad information. Why? Because if your clues are junk, your entire case just falls apart. So we have to ask ourselves, is this evidence even real? It's a really simple question, but it is absolutely vital. In the world of data, what's the difference between a solid lead and a total dead end? Well, a good clue has 4 main hallmarks. First, is it accurate? I mean, is it actually correct? Is it complete, or are there big chunks missing? Is it timely, or is it so old it's useless? And finally, is it even relevant to the case you're trying to solve right now? If your data doesn't check all these boxes, you're building your whole case on a foundation of sand.
And this is where the stakes get incredibly high, because bad data starts this terrible domino effect. A small error leads to a completely wrong conclusion. That conclusion leads to a bad business decision. That decision wastes a ton of money. And at the end of it all, you can completely destroy the trust your customers have in you. One bad clue really can topple the whole thing.
So, to protect against this, organizations use something called data governance. You can think of it like the detective's official code of conduct. It's the whole set of rules and processes that make sure every single clue is handled ethically, kept secure, and is consistently accurate. It's a big deal. All right, let's bring it all home with the final report. We've gathered high-quality clues, we've sorted them to find the patterns, and now it is time to connect all the dots. This is that great moment where all the hard work pays off, and we finally solve the case. So what's the ultimate payoff here? Why does all this detective work even matter? Well, because it leads directly to smarter business decisions, which in turn leads to increased profits, which ultimately creates a really powerful competitive edge. This is the treasure we've been hunting for all along. So let's wrap this whole case up. Here are the key things to remember. First, data is everywhere, but real insight is incredibly rare. Second, your job is to find the pattern, not just to collect a bunch of numbers. Third, data quality is everything. Bad clues will lead you to a cold case every single time. And finally, when you put this all together, this is the process that really lets companies innovate and grow. And that really brings us to the final question for you. The clues are all around you. They're hidden in your sales reports, in your customer feedback, your website traffic. They're everywhere. The only question left is, are you ready to solve the case?